go back into the crate. So here, what you're seeing is, like I said, I'm working Munico a little bit, but here what it is there's and you'll see as roll chains start to take hold, as I start to gain traction, okay, you're going to see it's just like a magnet. Munico is drawn to that. It's leadership. Leadership's like a magnet. So oftentimes, and this is the majority of all the cases, when there's a behavior, when the dog's becoming empowered, there's a behavior problem, the dog attaches to the owner in a wrong way. Okay, there's a reverse fulfillment going on. Okay, and so that whole, you'll see that possessiveness, and that creates problems. Okay, but again, it's all in that. That's when all the behavior issues start to happen. But again, here, what I'm doing here is I'm switching out the roles. Okay, but again, I'm using a relational model to do it. So, which means that the power is really coming through how you think. There's clarity. It's all about a clear picture. So when I'm working a dog, that imagery is taking hold. So there's clear lines defined. So I'm working off I'm using the sit position. This isn't like obedience class where you see, again, very deceptive there, because you can be working motivating agents and using different, cycling through different routines, and absolutely nothing, no relational change will even take place, and be totally deceived by it. Here, that doesn't happen, okay, because right from out of the starting gate, I am approaching training at the intervention level, because that's what it is. I don't care what anyone says, it's an intervention. Okay, the behavior issues that people experience represent a pushing out beyond the boundary lines of the follower script. Okay, that's what influences the dog's decision-making process in a negative way. Okay, you can go through it, really step back and think about it. That's why things like the leash, okay, even with Munico is resistant to the leash being used this way. But again, because it represents control. So almost all dogs, okay, when you start having problems, the leash bottoms out. I mean, you start the walk becomes a nightmare, especially with other dogs, other situations. It just bottoms out because the dog is pushing outwards. Okay, they're wrapping their mind, the mind separated. Okay, so they're actually being fulfilled, even from visually. Even it starts to get to that level that even looking at another dog, it just shoots the dog's mind up to the roof. Okay, suddenly you're on your back, or the walk will bottom out. So here, the whole issue of when you get into this whole issue of, well, how do you fix behavior, you have to treat it as an intervention. And so a right way of thinking has to start to happen. There has to be a reversal of the roles. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm setting up the framework as I'm working off of these, what I define as follower moments. They're the building blocks. So every time Munico comes into position, I create another moment. I'm creating another moment. I'm creating another moment. But you'll notice I'm not trying to hold Munico in tight that I'm so tight that the mind is going to explode or I'm going to get bit. And that's why I don't even use, people ask me, I don't even use, pinch collars because, or even certain types of choke chains, but not because at an emotional level I don't agree with them. Okay, if you have to understand, it's because everything's lining up relationally. Everything is following is aligned in that way. So, for example, as the leash is moving, my mind is really generating the power. Dogs are able to get a snapshot of my personality type. So, if I'm changing, or if I'm already there where I need to be, if I'm already defined by leadership, that's why Munico will express a higher state of challenge with me. Okay, because Munico's already extending that to me, saying, well, I already know Dale meets the criteria, so I'm really gonna battle it out with them, and because I know where it's headed. Okay, Munico already knows the war is lost, but the battles are going to happen. But see, that's where I can look at Munico and say, well, Munico's in pretty good shape here because there's a lot of dogs that I can't even handle, and not because I'm doing anything aggressively, because they already know. This is important for people to understand. They already know or can get a snapshot or able to discern what the personality type of that person represents. And that's why you'll see trainers get bit so quickly before they even move that leash, because that dog is going to lash out because there's no way I'm letting that guy take me. And so the smart way to do it with dogs holding a lot of power is actually to coach the person, okay, for a couple sessions, and then the dog will gain, then you'll be able to gain some relational change, and the dog will be more accepting of the trainer. But here in this situation, with the board and train process, I'm working off, I'm able to create change pretty quickly, but you'll see challenge. But what I'm doing through the relational model, you see, I'm not trying to hold the dog in tight. I'm letting some of the steam come out of the kettle, so to speak, okay, but I'm still kinetically, okay, I'm still bringing Munico back into the staging here and creating another moment. So I'm letting some steam come out, but back in, okay, so it's doing it smart, okay, but again, the reason I don't use the choke chain is it can generate too much influence at that, because it's the manifestation of how I think at the device level, okay, so it's really kind of disconnected. So by just using a straight collar and with having clarity, okay, with how I'm defining, with how I'm thinking, clarity of where those lines all kind of form, okay, that's what's generating, that's what's creating change. It's about changing how I think. It's about clear lines being defined, imagery. The leash is basically my paintbrush, okay, so, and this is the other thing, if I have a clear picture of where I want Munico to be so I can set up my moments, my hand and everything's going to move without even thinking about it, because I'm painting that picture, or I have that picture painted, and Munico can see that picture in my mind, okay, so as I bring Munico in and work in the script and create through these moments, you're going to see Munico's head turning in, and then, after, and again, this is at the intervention level, once I've created, change, because I'll know as I do this, then I don't have to keep working the leash this way. The leash is just an extension of how I think. This is when you get a dog off leash, okay? The leash starts going away, and then you're working the commands in. This is why I don't use the commands right off. I'm not speaking, because through connection, through this connection dog share, as your mind just starts to move, even before the leash moves, the dog can actually sense the direction your mind is moving. And again, you look at my model and some of the real critical things I'm asking is, how do you get from point A to point B in the relationship and create relational change if you're already walking on sand? And that's why people really get kind of confused with this idea about how dogs can learn, because you're using certain motivating agents like treats to try to influence change, but no change is happening beyond the appearance of things because the person isn't changing. Okay, that's really important for people to get here, because dogs know the real deal. Okay, they know if you're just trying to get out from underneath it. That's why appearances can be so deceiving when it comes to physical response. You cannot always trust it just based on these controlled environments. You have to be able to qualify it. You have to be able to put it to the test. Okay, so we have to look at the decision-making process of the dog at the unwanted behavior level to say, is behavior, these unwanted behaviors are starting to go back? That's why as I start to work Munico this week, okay, through the board and train process, through the walk, Munico will start to float the side. I'm gonna do lots of videos this week so you'll be able to see it, the process happening. So I just want to give you a little bit of clarity as to what people are doing and why you're doing it. People assume, yes, you'll see me tapping with the leash and everything, but I'm not working off a correction the way most people think of a correction. Okay, I already know where I need to go in the relationship. Okay, just like your teenager that is out of control, hanging around with the wrong crowd and everything else. What are you going to do to create some parental influence? You're going to be in their airspace saying, where are you going, who are you hanging out with? Okay? But again, people who are very emotional and, for lack of a better word, permissive, they trying to shift the focus away. Okay, they're trying to do everything in their power to get out from underneath it. But what I show through nature is defined by strength and weakness. It follows this path. So I just would encourage you to really think about what I'm saying. You can look at my relational model to get clarity as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I would encourage you, if you need help with your dog, there's lots of options. There's a board and train process I offer to people that gives you a good jumping off point in certain situations. Again, when you do the board and train process, though, it's important to have good follow-up to make sure you continue to build that bridge. You have to continue to think that way. So when I'm doing the board and train process, people are getting daily updates by email or by video, private video, email, and you get a written report at the end of the process. And then I really encourage people to do follow-up. But I also offer in-home training too, where people can come here to where I'm at for training. But this relational model is a one-of-a-kind model. I created it, how I approach training, the psychology of it all. I break it all down for people, even about these ideas about why I don't use certain things with treats and stuff, because a lot of times it's not helpful. I mean, I could use treats and get away with it, okay, because I already think a certain way. But that's what I stay away from it, clear away from it, because I might use it and get away with it, but the majority of people need help. It's not going to be helpful to them because they're going to be deceived. I mean, you have to bring training right to the intervention level, and you have to understand how a dog's decision-making process is influenced at that level. You have to be able to discern it. So anyway, I encourage you to check out my website. Lots of great information, and thanks for watching. Hope this video was helpful.